Thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day. We'll do the same without wasting a single second of your time. Bada bing, bada boom, we go into the charts. So, coming back up to that 0.65 level perhaps, and seeing where it goes from here as it batters its head against this 0.65 that we've had price action on this pitch fan up since January. Not sure why my computer connection is lagging so much to load, but let's go ahead and take a look at high block and keep it real. But first, let's hold ourselves to the flame to see what we were saying. We were not putting out projections to both sides. We were saying for the last 2 days we would be going up. We did break our gap zone here. This was our point of interest to just look at. Always observe power of threes and all that fun stuff. We burst right through this liquidity zone, and we are coming into a deep retrace at the 786 level. So where do we go from here? As you approach this region, do you get another rejection or not? Let's go into high block to find out. What is high block, you say? Well, people lock that liquidity into the charts to get burnt to a crisp by the market maker for not using a stop loss, and we get to see where those crispy characters are. So let's do it now. All right, so they swept the highs here, cleaned up that $200 million short pool that was percolating with the 50xers as well over here.
Fatality.
And now it seems like they're approaching their partner in crime up here at 37,918 that we were talking about, which is why we were saying careful. It doesn't have to do anything at these regions. This is just a point of interest to look at for potential fade and rejection. It just ate through it with some high conviction candles, but even still could BPR all its way back down with a fair value gap to the downside. Let's go ahead and see what type of fatigue points we're looking at. So as we're bursting up here, we are getting some longs opening to the tune of 145 million as we burst up here. Is this going to be a sustained move up to that 37,918 range where they popped all of these shorts? There is a pool of 292 million 25xers up at that 38,122 region. It's about to get lost to father time, so remember that 38,122. We already have that up here from the time past, talking about sweeping this range. So we got those still on the menu up here for them to possibly come up to and do a higher high. Okay, let's jump to the higher time frame pool, shall we? Shout out to everyone here. Booyah. Okay, 7-day time frame. Let's go ahead and take a look. Talking about that liquidity zone that was on the 7-day, possibly getting hit up here, saying that there was some up in that 38k region. Starts to taper in this 38,250-ish zone. Overall thickening up some pools up in that 39k as well, which were previously not there. Also bringing some to the table up in the 43k region. Interesting to note as we make those hits to the high. On the monthly time frame does have a bit of liquidity to grab up in these 38k regions perhaps. Also, as you look below, the ultimate draw for the double digit pools is to that 34k, sub 34k downside, which is why we're putting this path to the projection of when it fades, where it wants to go down here to sweep these lows. Ultimately, for a sustained move, that would be the smart move to do, because all of the longs that are still in profit, they have to stop them out in order to go higher. So that is the monthly time frame. Let's go ahead and adjust our perspective and expand our vision to the 3-month. The 3-month time frame also has this draw starting to appear to the downside. You still have some highs that can be hit. Double-digit pools up in that 38.8 region, starts to taper at 38.8. Also starting to get some double-digit pools up in the 41K region as they allow some shorts to experience profit for the first time in a while since October 13th. Still, this is just going ascending channel sideways and barely making a lower low. It's not even making a lower low just yet. On the 6-month, you have some draws to the downside at that 34K region, similar to the monthly. Up above, you have some double-digit pools. By double digits, I mean billions, like 11 billion, 16 billion, 15 billion if you can't read it, up in that 39K. So from 38.4 to 39, you have a few double-digit pools, majority being to the downside. That's why we were saying the ultimate draw would be to retrace at some point. Looking at the 2-year, same idea with the 34K. Starting to get some percolating pools up in that 40K region, starting to give some insinuations of hitting to the high, although they will have a market reversal shift at some point. Let's go ahead and look at how the DXY is doing. So the DXY retracing down a little bit here, never came up to that region. Basically just triple top up here. You had this zone that they topped out at. Now swept the lows here for the DXY. Are we at a level to mind here? Not just yet. You do have a kind of low wick zone here that could be some sort of support here as well. So this entire region could act. There is a possibility that we come to this. If we look at NQ, NQ is starting to retrace back down as well in that Asian algorithmic open. They stop hunt rose and dropped it. Let's go take a look at gold. Gold gapped down as well. So they're shifting the sector to the Bitcoin for now, for False Move Monday, November 20th is upon us. So as you reach this 786 deep retrace zone slash hit to this fair value gap zone, this is also a fair value gap region. Here is where that fair value gap is from here to here. If I turn on that fair value gap indicator, you will see, wait, what? Maybe too far back in the numbers. There's too many within here to calculate. So what is in store right now for BTC? Coming back into these regions, we did not sweep that 37,918. There is a thick band of liquidity suggesting that we do continue to that 37,918 region, and their partner in crime, that 38,122, just a hop, skip, and a jump away. Can they make it up to these regions or not? As it stands right now, it is rejecting off of this fair value gap / 786 region here. The vector candle, let's go ahead and throw on our momentum and see what we can see in the charts with momentum on our side. Let's throw on the heads up display. Link is in the description for more. We just did our due diligence for the liquidity and the math, so it's time to go to the momentum. Link in the description for more, momentummaster.info. You can scroll through all the components, trend cloud, baseline, stochastic array, and more for that sauce. Right now we're getting that 3 time frames oversold, one of them being the medium time frame based on the diamond. I'm guessing it's the 4 hour because we were talking about the 4 hour getting topped out. So yes, it is based on this thing, little heads up display here. 4 hour at 93, hourly at 99, 15 at 86, 5 minute at 66. So we're nearly topping out 4 time frames of overbought status. So what were we looking at yesterday for that potential push, or over the weekend rather, for that potential push to the upside was here. On the hourly time frame, we draw this curvature here because the cloud was cupping the price, and we never gave up the ghost on that shifting cloud here. We bounced off it not once but twice, and boom, we were gone to the upside. If you were so inclined to scalp these premium regions, then you could have seen a little bit of a bounce to the tune of 2.64%. And now we're getting to this region where it could potentially fade. Let me go ahead and delete this until we can figure out what's what. So in order for the C wave to be complete, you have to be rejecting in these regions. If you come back and sweep above these highs, even for a wick, then the C is, unless it's a manipulation, would not likely come down as quickly down to this region. It would have to reject at this idea here. Okay, so if we look at the momentum here on the volume on the hourly, we saw a huge vector candle here on the hourly, starting to top out on the hourly time frame. Let's make our descent through all of the time frames to make sure we get a clear picture, starting with the daily. So the daily time frame is oversold now on the stochastic, money flow, RSI at even Steven levels. MACD crossing up here, possibly getting a push up on the daily time frame as the Williams ambiguously holds the line. Looking at the 3-day now turning this adaptive potentially into support as we go higher. We have a day and an hour's time for this to lock in above the adaptive, which would be a first in some time. The last time we hit our head against the adaptive was back in March of last year, so we had a massive dump thereafter. So are we going to reclaim this adaptive moving average and head up into higher regions? 3-day also topping out here. We're talking about 9 days or so of this Williams getting close to the finish line and going to the 22. 22 has that money flow beneath the RSI, suggesting this push up as well. We were talking about that disparity on the 22 here, giving that subtle insinuation of push up here. If we go to the 12 hour also had the money flow bullish divergence from back here, hidden bullish on the money flow, and it's beneath that 50 level. It was kind of ambiguous how they were holding that 50 zone, not giving up the cards so quickly on that play. It was ultimately the cloud on the hourly that led us to the promised land of the upside here. Right now on the 6 hour, you're getting a stopping volume amount of volume here in the blue vector candle here. Volume RSI and this 6 hour coming back above the cloud. The cloud was a bit worrisome in terms of how it was banging its head against it and failing here. Now starting to attempt to close it. above the cloud once again. So do we come back and retest this cloud to continue up into these regions is the next step. 4 hour. So the 4 hour also reclaimed the cloud here. The cloud, you never want to trade against the cloud, generally speaking. If the cloud is expressing support, then you want to long it, and if it's expressing weakness, you want to short it. And so looking at how the cloud on the hourly and the 4 hour was performing, we were calling for this upside play. Also, the liquidity was suggesting that we get that sweep to these $200 million characters. Now, as they start to cake up the other side, you wonder when their fatigue point will come in. Once again, 38,122 being the top of this range, if it can go up to that level, but even that would just set in a new C for a potential ABC downward. So then it would just start the journey over again. Okay, so the 4 hour time frame giving this strength, getting two vectors here, you would expect the power of threes. 3 vector candles is generally the formula. You have 3 red here, 1, 2, 3, and then we reverse. So let's go ahead and take a look as we go lower into the hourly time frame. So the hourly time frame here, as we started out with that reclaiming of the cloud, and now we're getting this 3 time frames overbought idea as we approach the daily candle close. When the daily candle closes, it will set into motion some stochastic updates of candles and daily time frames and whatnot, and then that will trigger some algorithmic stuff. Generally on the Monday you hit that high. If you're hitting the high, then you're testing the highs for the week and then potentially reversing out from there. So where do we fatigue? A Asia pump normally leads to a handoff of a London dump. So similar to here in Asia, we pumped it up a little bit, brought it back down for London, and then New York did its thing thereafter. There is a narrative to how these different sessions play off of one another, and so now we're entering into the Asian session. Very interesting how the stochastic array also told you about these 5 time frames. We're giving you dynamic alerts to your phone. If you're out shopping, whatever the case may be, you can get these dynamic alerts to your phone in an ever-changing text message. Don't need to set, just set and forget perpetually here. Okay, so 15-minute is starting to taper here. This looks like to be an inducing point. The 786 has been something people have been going on and off about now as a rejection point. It used to be the 618, now it's the 786. So the 786 is one of those reactionary zones to watch out for. So we held this super trend and this cloud and boom, banged it up. Not once, but twice. Once here, boom. Second time, boom, boom. And this is how you would monitor your trades using the Momentum Master Trinity of the super trend, the baselines, and the trend cloud on your side. So we're not anywhere near that point. What you would see if keyword being if there is a fatigue point here, you would generally see it fatigue out with a 3 hits to the high and then start to fade. So you would count like a single hit, second hit, and then a third hit, and then it would go to the downside. You don't want to try to aim at the exact tops and exact bottoms unless you have extreme confluence on your side, or you end up getting purged in the face, uppercut to the face. But overall, this region, if it does fade up in these regions, this is where they would do it. You have your levels up at 38,550, 38,122, and 37,918. Let's go say what's up in the chat. Sound sold, I'm in the trade. Asia is pumping it up. 38,100 tonight, nice. Yo, 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 dingo, CNC, what's up? BTC is a dirty girl. So, it's too premature to say anything, just enjoy the ride to the fatigue zones. These 5, anything above a 5 is generally pretty good for at least something above your entry to justify paying yourself as you go and setting to break even, and even then you win. So you could basically take that for the near percent every time, and then the times it rips, it pays pretty well. So 5s and 6s pretty good for time frames oversold. And the way the stochastic formula works is that it locks in, it's a candle close specific. So as you see, it did not close on hourly time frames with the 5 intact, because 5 minutes got exhausted within that. So there was only a time where the 4 closed here. So if you're starting to see 5s and 6s on a hourly and above time frame, that's an extreme stretch to the stochastic data. And so when this happened here on Friday, this was an extreme stretch, and that would have been a nice point for a V-shaped kind of bounce off that stochastic data. Happened again here, and happened again here with a 6. So anything above 4 hours is spotty at best, but if it does lock in on that time frame like it did here with the rocket ships on September 11th, they're pretty close to being complete. And so this is how you get, we had a rocket ship here, we had a rocket ship here, you had 2 rocket ship entries for this huge move to the upside, not to mention the entire rocket ship down at 15k over here, 16k, and then we had another one over there. So all of the rocket ships have played out thus far. There's one that didn't in August when SpaceX dumped their Bitcoin here, but it didn't lock in on the higher time frame. So you wait for that to lock in on the higher time frames for confirmation. Okay, getting this massive volume push on this 4-hour, larger volume than the previous 4-hour candle. This could rip to that higher high region here as the volume steps up to the plate on the hourly as well. We are completely negating this deep retrace region. This was the only confluent zone mathematically speaking, so you can wait and see how far it will go. These are the points to look at in terms of liquidity zones. It has now negated the idea of an ABC at this point. When it negates this impulse, then it's basically kablooey for that idea, and you'd have to reassess for 3 hits to the high for a potential reversal. So if you're in this long, you can just ride it out. What do you do if you want to test your long? Well, on Momentum Master A, you also have an ATR based stop loss, trailing stop loss. So you can do this here and it will show you where you can stop, put your stop into profit perhaps, and see where it basically will keep you in the trade if it does retrace down into this region, if it's still bullish. There's all sorts of things under the hood. I'm well open to take suggestions. I got to get out of here soon. Sorry I don't have a clear picture from where it's going to go from here. We did get that idea of going up, but we're not getting that fatigue just yet. But we did put the pools out for you. Don't want to make a call for downside, that would be stupid just yet. So you have the ideas where they can negate, where they can come up to sweep. Looks like they're possibly sweeping these regions at 37.9 and above, based off the strength and the ferocity of the candles. Do you guys have anything you'd like me to look at before I dip out to take my son to school? Let's go ahead and take a look at total. Total also getting that push. Total 3 coming up to this region we were talking about. So the alt's getting a little bit of a push here. Let's go see what that is about. Immutable, near, link, basically everything getting a little bit of a permission to go up here. We are rinsing and repeating the last 3 weeks now. I'm good, brother. LTC. Oh, Litecoin. All right, let's go see how Litecoin's faring. So the interesting thing we were talking about was coming back to this 236 equilibrium level. Equilibrium is basically you have this area is too expensive, this is discount, premium, and coming back to this equilibrium level. If people are bullish, they're going to scoop it up, which they have been. Every time it sweeps to the discount region, they're scooping it up. And on those bullish ideas coming up into here was what we were talking about on a larger scale. If we look at the liquidity here, let's go ahead and close that out. Look at LTC on high block, sweeping the shorts here. You had a $3 million short that they swept up nearly. They're almost at that fatality zone, so they could be sweeping up that guy and continuing higher this entire short range to the tune of 116 million short imbalance, so that they could come reclaim by sweeping all the way up to 73.63. 73.63 would be the zone to sweep up all of the shorts. And it's doing very much of the same thing. You got a 6 time frames oversold just beneath this 236 region we were talking about. That bullish equilibrium was right there at the goal, the 0.5. You had the 6 time frames oversold. You got a 5 liquidity sweep even further beneath that into the discount range, and now you're coming above this hourly cloud just like Bitcoin and starting to rise up. You broke the bearish super trend, now flipping to bullish. You got the cloud, the super trend, and the baselines on your side. This looks like it could continue riding to the upside. To the tune of what exactly? Let's go take a look at this. Previously coming to the 706, rejecting and coming down here. We were talking about a possible ABC to the downside on the alts. I was talking about a discount range long idea for those who are patient, reclaiming your prize here. And yeah, possibly coming up here. The 4 hour is a bit overbought. Double topping, money flow coming up. You are getting a rising sun on the Williams here. Does that subtly support the theory of going higher? The 6 hour also going. What got it? Yeah, so the possibility of the 6 hour cascade of the cross up event. When you have the baselines on your side, you can subtly watch as the price action holds the baseline. Similarly, when the baseline was crossing down, we had this suppression. So the baselines will give you that subtle sauce for continuation. The one thing we were looking at for the worrisome of the downside play was this cloud shift on the 6 hour and failing beneath that cloud. So even if we come up to here, there is a resistance point up in this cloud region at 72.62. So looking for that to coincide with 72.62. So you have a bunch of shorts up in here basically tapering at that 72.81 region. So coming into this cloud, seeing what it does at the cloud, and then possibly coming down. So yeah, if it's going to run higher, you got that hourly cloud on your side now. Does it come up into this region or not? I'm getting the signal to cut the stream because my son is getting ready to go and I have to take him to school, so I gotta make it short but sweet. But I was just happy to see that it hit the zone here and just seeing if there was any immediate reaction off the 786 here. Looks like it's going to hold at least till the the weekly candle close. So the weekly candle, also looking at how that is going to close real quick. We're putting in a higher high for that weekly candle body. Ultimately a doji spinning top though. Just could still bullish overall as we approach these ranges over here from the February region of last year. All right, ladies and gents, I don't really have a idea of what it's going to do other than we had you on the long possibility of going up, and it could possibly continue up into these regions we have marked off above. 37.9, 38.122, 38.550. These are the levels to look at. Or if it rejects completely here at 37.440 at the 786, then you could be looking for that possible sweep down below to happen here. It is False Move Monday. Watch out for your trades, pay yourselves, and be safe. And thank you for your time. Thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day.